Hi everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy that you're here. My name is John Leland. I am a digital marketing strategist, and this is Video Mojo, our playful and somewhat fearless exploration of the leading edge, or some call it the bleeding edge, of online video and the development of a vibrant video presence. And I'm excited today we're going to be talking about really a dimension of the video landscape or the media landscape that doesn't get explored very often, which is the development of original programming for what's called OTT, or over-the-top television. So you can distribute via Roku, via Apple TV, via smart TVs. So we're going to get into that, and again, welcome, happy that you're here. So today's program, we're going to talk first in the Tee It Up section about distribution and the opportunity to optimize your investment in the videos that you're doing and how to make a video program have an even broader impact and reach new audiences. That will happen during my collaborative conversation with Jonathon Barbato, who's coming to us from Los Angeles area and is really an expert in this whole area of OTT television. And as always, we're going to open it up for your questions and comments. If you're watching live, that's really one of the advantages of watching live, is that you can be part of the conversation. Use the chat window either on Facebook Live or on YouTube Live, and we'll bring your questions and comments right up on the screen. And then I have a really kind of lively, luscious link for you today about the most dangerous thing, which is playing it safe. So we're going to talk about risk. I've got actually a custom edited video for you about that, and a couple luscious links actually to recommend that I think are very inspiring and moving. And we put, if you're watching the recording, we put the time codes on the screen here for you so that you can jump to that if that's the thing you're most interested in. So now it's time to tee it up. And just in this brief commentary, what I wanted to talk about is something that I've been saying over and over again for years, which is it's not how to distribute, it's how else to distribute. And it's one of the passions in my life. This Video Mojo started as a video blog, and then we started also distributing it as a podcast on social media. It's on YouTube, of course. And so that issue is something that I walk my talk, and having this collaborative conversation with Jonathon Barbato really plays into that because we're talking about a new way to distribute. So my Tee It Up inspiration for you today is think about that when you're doing video, especially if you're doing web shows or podcasts or video shows, video series on YouTube. Think about how else to distribute. Don't just settle for only YouTube, because there's so many opportunities and so many other ways that you can distribute. So my collaborative conversation today, as I said, is with Jonathon Barbato. And Jonathon is a digital media visionary and entrepreneur. He's currently the co-CEO of the Best Ever Channels, which is a streaming channel monetization company. Prior to that, he had his own company, Apricot Corp., which is a digital agency specializing in audience acquisition and retention for entertainment video brands. And prior to that, he worked in traditional media as the head of marketing for both MGM TV and Starz Movie Channel. And prior to that, he worked at Sony, Warner, and Fox. So welcome, entertainment veteran Jonathon Barbato. So happy to have you here, brother.
Well, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So we've been talking about OTT and this over-the-top television opportunity via Roku, Apple TV, smart TVs, and you live and breathe this thing. And I wanted to start by asking you to put it in context. So people are producing, we are both fans of the democratization of media, I know that. And, you know, but people are making their own media on TikTok, on YouTube. Right. And on the other hand, at the high end, you have the Netflixes and the Amazon Primes and all the other big entertainment companies investing billions in production value. So where does OTT fit, and how do you make that into a viable media?
Well, if you look at the evolution of television, I mean, OTT, over the top, is the last leg of that evolution. So it started over the air with broadcast TV, and then went to over the wire with cable television. And now over the top is basically internet delivered television, video programming to any device through the internet. So smart TVs these days have the capability of receiving these channels. Smartphones have the capability of receiving these channels. There's Roku boxes or USB devices that have the ability to receive this programming through the internet. So it's
let me interrupt for a second. How many channels like that? When you say these channels, I get that there are like hundreds of these channels. Is that true?
Yeah, even venturing toward thousands. But yes, all the channels that used to be on cable and satellite, or still are even, are now migrating to this new platform over the top. And that's really because the cable and satellite operators used to be the only way to get the signal out to the people through the wire. But that's changed. Now with the internet, anybody can receive a signal in many different ways. And so over the top allows a technology for channels themselves to even deliver directly to the consumer.
So if you're on YouTube, you get found through the YouTube search. If you're one of these hundreds, if not thousands of OTT channels, how do you get found?
Well, there's multiple ways. One way is that there's two kinds of over-the-top streaming media. There's linear, which means every day is a different program. Every time is a different program. 8 o'clock is this, 9 o'clock is that. And then there's video on demand, which means you're going in, you're getting a selection of a menu of things to choose from, and you're choosing what you want to watch, when you want to watch it, and clicking on that button to watch it. So those two methods have different ways of discovery. Because if you are on an on-demand channel, and you basically need to let the public know that you exist so that they can find you, whether you're Tubi, which has a selection of free on-demand programming, or whether you're HBO, which you pay a monthly subscription for. HBO has the privilege of bringing their brand from cable and satellite into over the top, so people are aware of it, whereas Tubi now has to build a brand from scratch, which they do through marketing and paid and unpaid media. If you're a linear channel, then you're one of a selection of channels on a platform. So for example, if you bring your Vizio television home, smart TV, you just bought it, you bring it home, you plug it in, you hook it up to the internet, boom, 100 channels show up. And they're all playing something at 8 o'clock, something else at 9 o'clock. And so the discovery there is a little bit more like traditional TV used to be, where you just, channel surf and say, oh, look at this. There's a channel for classic TV. I want to watch that. So that discovery is a little bit more organic.
And those tend to be more the advertiser supported, because that's another big distinction. I know that, and we'll put in the show notes with the other resources, this article about FAST channel, which are, tell me the acronym again, advertiser supported, I know is the AS.
Free ad supported streaming television.
Right,
FAST.
so unlike the monthly subscription that you would pay for something like HBO Max or Netflix or a bunch of other things, these are free channels, and you can sell ads against them, which I guess is your revenue model. Is Best Ever Channels, your company, kind of competing with Tubi in terms of a package of channels and that kind of thing, or is Tubi a subscription thing? I'm not even sure.
It all gets a little murky and goes to what you started the program with, which is how else to distribute, right? So Best Ever Channels has a collection of classic TV channels called Best Classics Ever. It's at bestclassicsever.com. You can get it on mobile. You can get it on Roku. However, we take those channels. So Best Westerns Ever is one of the channels on Best Classics, and we're putting it up on Plex in Q1 of 2021, and we'll be putting it up elsewhere as well. So you might think that Plex would be competing with us because they have a number of channels and what have you, but in fact, our channel will be one of those channels, and we benefit from their universe of users watching the 249 other channels that they have. So while people surf, they'll find us, and so we benefit from that. Meanwhile, they benefit from getting the programming that we have to offer.
Interesting. So that distribution model, I mean, do you think that I'm on track? I know that my audience for Video Mojo is a little bit narrow because we're talking about people who want to be creators, people that want to produce programs. But do you think that going into this OTT universe for a YouTuber that is doing regular shows or a podcaster that's doing regular shows, does that make sense to try and distribute over OTT? And if so, how would that work?
Again, to your point, why not? What else can I do? So there are a lot of YouTubers currently with OTT channels or with programming on OTT channels. So the distribution gateway is open. And if you have an audience on YouTube, 100,000, a million, 1,000, it doesn't, ultimately matter. Why wouldn't you want to expand that audience to other platforms as well? The old thinking is, oh, I'll cannibalize people, want to watch me on YouTube. They don't want to watch me on these other things. Oh, that's not true. Some people want to watch you on YouTube. Some people want to watch you on your smart TV. Some people want to watch you on a phone. So the more places you can offer the program, the better. And in some cases, if you have 150, 200 hours of programming, you can set up your own channel. If you have less than that, then you can be part of somebody else's channel. And it's just a matter of knowing this, knowing who to go to, getting to them. There's still a hunger for programming, and particularly programming that has proven it has an audience. So find the channel that is looking for the audience or has the audience that you're looking for, or consider building your own channel.
Nice. So, yeah, and what does it take? One of the things that you and I have talked about on and off is kind of like about production values. So obviously on TikTok, anything goes. If you're going to build a following on YouTube, I think you need a certain level of sophistication. We're probably one level of video sophistication above that, but obviously we're not $1 billion or $1 million an episode budget like you would have on an Apple TV or a Prime or a Netflix, original production. So how does it fit in there? I mean, your channels are mostly existing, your classics, I assume, is a lot of public domain and stuff, movies that have obviously already been produced. When you get into the original domain, what does it take to, do you need to bring the audience with you and have a following, or is it actually possible to build a following on OTT? And what does it take to do that?
Yeah, it is possible to build a following on OTT, and the more you can bring a following with you, the better, because you still need to get discovered and build an awareness. At this point, the people that are launching these channels have hundreds of them already. So if you don't have a following and you have an idea and you bring it to them, I mean, it costs some amount of money and operational time to put these things together. So the more you can prove to them that you're a viable entity, the more they'll be interested. And if it's not to launch a channel, it's to launch a program on a channel, the same thing. You're just talking to a channel owner about a program instead of a distributor about a channel. So the more you can build outside of this environment, or the more that you can promote outside of this environment to an OTT environment, the better. There are music brands, there are YouTube influencers that go onto OTT and find, sticking my phone in front of me and doing my typical 10-minute rant works great on YouTube, but it doesn't work on OTT. So because OTT is, when you're watching something on a Samsung TV or an LG TV or through Roku, you expect it to be of a higher quality. You expect it to be television. So, but that doesn't mean that they can't adapt. So there was an influencer that we worked with in the horror space, where she was a fashion blogger, and on YouTube and on Instagram had millions of followers, literally looking for her fashion tips. How do you apply lipstick this way, that way? Well, that doesn't work on television so well. But she was also an avid horror fan. So she took her following and said, hey, you follow me, you love what I'm doing. What I'm up to now is curating these horror movies. Come watch me on, in that case, it was Pluto TV. And I'll narrate the movie, and we'll do this together. So there's different creative ways to take a fan base from one platform to another. You just need to be sensitive to what people are watching for.
Fabulous. Well, I love your expertise, Jonathan, and it is an exciting area and an area of the media landscape that I think deserves more attention. So let's open up or light the community campfire, and that way we can see if we have any questions out there in the beauty of internet land. And actually, our good friend and tribe member Vince Castellana has this question. He's into sailboat racing videos and
Sweet.
wants to know, how does he produce short videos about, how do I find a channel basically that will take the short videos about sailboat racing, and how would he get started?
Yeah, I would start by going onto a Roku device, or downloading Pluto, or Vizio, or Plex, or one of these fast channels platforms, and scrolling through the channels and finding something that looks like it might want that kind of programming. Havoc TV comes to mind, or Edge TV, something with action sports, but maybe also something that has alternative sports. But find a channel where you think that programming might make sense. And it might make sense as a program unto itself, so you have a ongoing series on sailboat racing, or it might make sense as what we call in the business interstitial, meaning if it's an ESPN like sports channel and they're showing you the latest soccer from Argentina, that audience may be interested in sailboat racing as well, or some segment will. And so in between soccer from Argentina and women's volleyball from Venezuela, you might want to stick in the sailboat racing episode of where you went down to South America. So if you think about it from a perspective of programming, what will make sense to an audience, that's great. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to take a sailboat racing program or interstitial and try to sell it to a classic TV channel. That doesn't make sense unless you make sense with it.
Yeah, but it does sound, I mean, I worked for a while, and I know your background is in the entertainment business and program development, right? And so we think about, like when I was at USA, what's going to be the programming throughout the day. And since a lot of these channels are, and actually one of the things you could talk to is, that they are running 24/7, and people are scrolling through the guide and finding what they want. So I'll bring that to you, but I want to invite people to use the chat on YouTube or Facebook if you're watching live, so we can include your questions and comments. What do you need to know? What do you want to know? But you've talked about the fact that there's in a way a retro movement that, unlike we presume everybody wants everything on demand and watch what they want when they want it, a la Netflix. How is that working, that people are literally wanting to see what's on and watch stuff in real time? It seems counterintuitive to me.
Yeah, I think that there are two different forms of watching television, and both of them are valid and utilized, at least by me, by everyone I know, right? So there's the moment in time where you're saying, I want to watch Game of Thrones. I'm going to go on. I'm going to find it, on HBO or wherever I'm going to find it now, and I'm going to program, and I'm going to binge. I'm going to watch 6 episodes. So that's a day. That's an appointment television viewing experience. But then there's other times where you've watched all the seasons, you've watched all the recommends on Netflix, you've cruised through Amazon, and it all looks the same, and you just want something entertaining. And so that's when you'd go to one of these channels and you just kind of scroll through channel surf, and probably in some cases discover something new. Oh wow, I didn't know there was a whole channel devoted to classic movies or horror or whatever. And so now oh, that channel exists. So when I'm not doing appointment television, I'll go back and I'll watch this niche channel that I really like, or I'll cruise through all 200 and watch a little of this, a little of that. I think that what's happened is there's so much out there that finding something has become a challenge, and whatever way you can get program recommended to you, other than sort of the Netflix you might also like, the better, because let's face it, no smart search engine is smart enough to take care of us all the time,
Yeah,
especially during COVID.
and in an ideal scenario, you become a fan of that channel. Like, I guess with Vince's example, if you're into sports and you're not satisfied with ESPN and other regional sports networks, you might tune into a smaller OTT sports network. And if you become a fan of that, then you check back to see what's on, kind of the way I surf the news.
Right, right. Oh wow, look, they have sailboat racing program, and it says it's on at 7 o'clock every night. I'll come back here. You know, let me remember it's channel 154 or whatever it is. Or you just wanted something, you didn't even think about sailboat racing, and there it was, and so it engaged you, and you sat there and you watched it, and you were really satisfied with that experience.
Right. Well, Vince is going to take us to another angle because he's actually directing a weekly lecture Zoom program. They've got over 100 hours of shows. How would they turn those 100 hours into an OTT channel? Great question, Vince. Thanks.
Yeah, good question, and a multi-layered answer. So the layers are the production quality of the programming, the content itself, and how hungry an audience is for that content, and is it content that they'll want to watch on TV versus maybe go online and buy, you know, a lecture series for. So those are all considerations, but the good news is with COVID and with the changes in the last year, people have gotten more and more accustomed, even on television, to watching programming that is of a different production quality, right? So I saw a program on a music channel the other day where basically it was a Zoom conversation, not unlike what you're doing here, but they took, you know, rather than just plastering the Zoom screen on for the half hour of the program, you know, they switched back and forth between the interviewer, the interviewee. They were able to put in some graphics and things like that. So as long as you can keep it interesting and rolling for the audience, then and thinking of it as a sit-back experience, which is what television is to an audience, then I think that the program could work. And if the content's interesting enough, and you can interlay, you know, graphics and what have you to make it even more sort of engaging as a visual experience, not just a lecture hearing experience, and I think that it can work. And it just depends.
That's what we try and do here, of course.
Right.
Jonathon, you're amazing, and I really appreciate you opening up this whole world for us. It really is eye-opening for me, and I feel like I know most of this kind of stuff. So I think we should continue to talk about this in the future, and thank you so much for making the time to be with us. You're clearly an authority, and we'll put the Best Ever Channel's URL in our show notes. Are there other points of contact on social media or whatever that you would want people to have?
The content is actually on Best Classics Ever, so so please put Best Classics Ever on there as well, because that's where you'll go and find the programming. Best Ever Channels is the name of the company that's launching these channels. So okay. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here. And yeah, there's a ton more to talk about. I'm always willing.
Good. And are there other, and if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, they would do that through the Best Classics channel or the Best Ever?
If you go to Best Ever Channels, Best Classics as well. There's a way to, you know, go to info at or Best Ever Channels. Same
Great.
thing.
All right. Yep. Very cool. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. All right, so Luscious Links today, I want to really kind of do a New Year's message, if you will. I actually posted to social media this quote recently: the most dangerous thing you can do in life, and actually he says in your career as well, is to play it safe. And that's from Casey Neistat. And I am an adventurer. I talk about Video Mojo as an exploration of the leading/bleeding edge of online video and social media. And the thing that I think comes up over and over again for people is the fear factor, is the, I'm not good enough kind of stuff that I have in my head, and I know a lot of other people do too. Those voices, I heard one writer call it the evil aunt or the evil uncle in the attic. And so I wanted to leave you in this last show of 2020 with some words of inspiration. And I've got a couple resources for you. One is called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, one of the best books, really small little book, but it's about overcoming resistance, facing the fear. That's what we all have to do in order to be creative and get our work out. And then I dug into this quote about the most dangerous thing you can do is to play it safe, and found that Casey Neistat, who's a big visibility, long time, one of the original kind of high-profile video bloggers on YouTube, back in 2015, did that quote as part of an 8-minute post back in 2015. So I pulled out for you the 2-minute segment, that he did where he said that. And I'm going to play that 2-minute clip for you now.
I want to talk about risk. As a guiding principle, life shrinks and life expands in direct proportion to your willingness to assume risk. Yeah, I've made some really stupid decisions in my career for my entire career. On a broad plane, they've all worked out. Every time I've quit my jobs, which I've done every time I've had a job, people that I trust most, the people that I love, all advised against it. My dad told me not to move to New York City because it was such a risk. And every time I took these bigger risks, the opportunity for a larger payout was always there. Life is like this super temporary, mega fragile thing. You only get like a nugget of time to really pursue the things you care about. And like I'm 30, and my rule is that the right time is always right now. To put a little meat on these bones, this new company that I don't really talk about, this new company is the biggest risk I've ever taken. I took 5 years of my life to build my advertising career, and I made like a lot of money. I've been doing really great. Look at my YouTube channel, go all the way back. The last branded content thing you'll see was in February of 2014. I ditched it all to pursue something I knew nothing about. This huge risk. And I did it at a time when my wife was pregnant and there was all of this vulnerability and all this scariness in my life. And even now at 33, my dad said, 34, my dad said, Casey, that's crazy. You've got a good thing. Don't let it go. But I know that like someday I won't be able to do this. I know that the time is now. The right time is always now. So I had to do it. That's how I feel about risk in general. And that's what the struggle has always been for me, is like identifying risk, identifying fear, and then just smashing through it. Because a fear is looking back and wishing that I had done these things. The most dangerous thing you can do in your career, the most dangerous thing you can do in life is play it safe.
So I think those are words to live by. And so I really want to encourage you to do what you can't or what you think you can't. And to, like he said, smash through the fear. Identify the fear. Don't try and put it down. Let it be there. It's okay. And smash through by taking action. And we'll put the URL to that full video if you want it in the show notes, as well as another video that he actually is currently using on the welcome page of his YouTube channel called Do What You Can't. And it's also a very exciting, fun video. And again, I can't recommend the Steven Pressfield book, The War of Art, which is about overcoming resistance. It's just an amazing book that I love. So that's our Luscious Links for today. We're going to take a little bit of a holiday hiatus and be back in January. So I'm wishing all of you the happiest of New Year's and holidays. And we do have a new offering for you, the 3 pillars of a vibrant video presence. Michael Cass and I did 3 different videos, one about humanity, one about technology, one about story. And we packaged those together into a little free email course. So if you go to that URL, play.com/3pillars, then we'll send you a link to each one of those videos about 2 days apart. They're previous episodes of Video Mojo, but they make a nice little mini email course about how to build a vibrant video presence. And Michael and I kind of packed into it as much wisdom and insights and tips as we could. So that's our offering. Happy holidays. And as always, I'm deeply appreciative not only for you for watching, but all of the team that supports me. And I thought as we end the new year, Vince Castellana, who's both my technical director and a longtime co-conspirator, and he's behind the scenes of these live webcasts. Rachel Keene and Samantha Coleman, who are our social media mavens and graphic designers at Combridges, and Peter Klein, who is our Mr. GSD. He gets shit done in WordPress and email via ConvertKit and a bunch of other platforms. A key member of our team, and also Joanne Richards, our bookkeeper. Those are the members of our Combridges team who also help out with Video Mojo, and without them, this wouldn't happen. But you are number one. Your participation, your feedback, the fact that you take the time to watch these videos means the world to me, and I wish you every success, good health, stay healthy, stay well, be careful, and we'll see you in 2021.